She came into the courtroom and told the jury how she slept with another woman's husband and then helped plan the killing of that woman. Her name is Juliana Magalhaes, and she was an au pair hired by Christine and Brendan Banfield. First, she slept with Brendan, then helped Brendan murder Christine and another man they were framing for Christine's murder. She got a sweetheart deal from prosecutors, pleading guilty to a lesser charge of involuntary manslaughter and a recommendation of time served. But today, the au pair was sentenced by the judge, and we'll show you the dramatic moment when the judge shocked everyone. But first, the search for Nancy Guthrie continues in Tucson. Where is the 84-year-old? Is she still alive? And are investigators close to tracking down the suspect caught on camera? Tonight, we have all the latest, including a video of someone else creeping around the home of a neighbor in the middle of the night. Could this be the suspect? Tonight, we break it down as our in-depth coverage of the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie continues. I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. Great to have you aboard, and it is the biggest true crime case in the country right now. And of course, we're talking about the disappearance, the abduction, the potential murder of Nancy Guthrie. All of that is in play right now in this case. And these stories, these cases come along every once in a while, the ones that capture the intrigue of everyone. And this certainly qualifies. This is at the same level of the biggest true crime cases we've covered in the last several years here on Court TV. And what that does, it's a little bit of a game changer in the way it plays out. And what's really been different here is that we've been able to watch this investigation unfold. Each development, everything that happens, there is reporting on it, there is information. So as far as true crime cases go, this is one where the public is invested and seemingly involved in this one. Now, video evidence will be crucial in this case and has been crucial in this case. The video that they were able to reconstruct from that digital, cloud, wherever this stuff was living, pretty amazing. But the suspect wasn't wearing a mask, so it wasn't a home run, but it was pretty close. We learned a lot, and from the video that they got, just this one video from the front of Nancy's home has resulted in new leads, new avenues, and new approaches by investigators. Extremely important. What we do know is that the sheriff has asked for help. Law enforcement has asked for help from the public. They're telling them, look, take a look at your videos that you have. People in the neighborhood, please take a look at what you have. Please share it with us. And they know more than they're saying, right? They've got theories, they've got leads, they've got tracks that they are following. And as a result of all of that is taking place, they are asking folks to respond. And Savannah Guthrie and her family also asking for help. And guess what? People are helping. They absolutely are. People are digging through their own footage. They're looking anywhere and everywhere to try to find something that will help investigators, help Nancy's family, and hopefully help Nancy return home. Now, TMZ released a new video they say the FBI is interested in. The video shows a man creeping around on the front porch of someone's home on January 23rd, just 8 days before Nancy Guthrie's abduction. TMZ says the video is from a home about 6.5 miles from Nancy's house. And I saw this floating around the internet as well from Ring. Ring has like a community of itself and videos are shared. And this was one, someone's creeping on the front porch. What's different in this one, though, he is not wearing a mask and appears to have long hair. I think he's got long hair, but is not wearing a mask, but is, what is he doing? And it's in, the middle of the night, those early morning hours on someone's porch. And obviously this is someone and something they have to look at. There is some facial hair. Many people believe the person wearing the mask had facial hair. So this is another one of those leads that is coming about because the sheriff and Nancy's family asking for help, and people are very willing to help. They're invested in the story. Everyone wants to see Nancy come home. And then once that happens, they're going to want justice for Nancy and her family. So this is happening. Also want to put this up. This is from the Pima County Sheriff's Department. PCSD will send an additional message to surveillance camera users in the Guthrie neighborhood via the Neighbors app this afternoon. Investigators are requesting video. This is, again, important, from January 1st, 2026 through February 2nd, 2026, including any suspicious activity involving people or vehicles. And my guess is people with cameras who have video to go through are doing that and have been doing that. They may not have been looking as far back as January 1st, but now everybody is going to. And think about it. It's like a force of multiplication here, that you've got a certain number of investigators that have to go through things, but if you have everyone who has a camera going through there looking for anything, oh my goodness, what is that van doing in my neighborhood? Who is this man walking with a backpack? All those types of videos, these folks are going to forward to investigators, and it's going to get us closer. And it's all because of the attention this case is getting and the response of the public, for whatever reason, because Savannah's a celebrity, because it's an 84-year-old woman who everyone feels sorry for and wants to see returned home. Let's bring in our think tank. Joining us tonight, criminal defense attorney Josh Colesrud, also with us, former law enforcement officer, host of the Strong Enough podcast, Claudia King, and finally, entertainment host Holland Reed. Great to see everyone tonight. Josh, the overwhelming response by everyone to the story itself, and then you get local to Tucson, it becomes even more personal. People will help. I think this is going to help the investigation a whole lot, because you've got not just this many sheriff's deputies and this many FBI agents there, you've got the whole community now involved and invested.
Yeah, I mean, as of this broadcast, there have been over 30,000 leads that have been called in ever since the FBI released the video footage earlier this week. Now, is the footage that we just saw the person that, was in the first video? I don't know. I mean, the guy looks skinnier, and there are other distinguishing characteristics that may not be that guy. However, you know what I like about this? I like that they're showing it, even though he may not be the guy, because today the FBI asked everybody to send in their camera videos all the way up to 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks prior to the kidnapping. And so this is setting the example. It's setting the example for people to send in their videos so the FBI CAST team, the CAS team, can really go through everything with a fine-tooth comb. And you're right, Vinny, this is really the community coming together. Unfortunately, this feels like the Brian Koberger case all over again, with the lack of information from law enforcement, the idea that the sheriff's office isn't getting along with the FBI, all this stuff that's going behind the scenes. So, there's still so much to see here.
Yeah, Claudia, how about from law enforcement's perspective? We don't always see this. Sometimes they sort of shut out everyone. Here, they're still feeding information to the media to translate to the public as well, even if they're not having press conferences, which is fine. Just keep churning some information and what you need and what you want, and take advantage of the world we live in today, which is everyone's walking around with a camera. And I don't know what the percentage is, but a high percentage of people have those security systems at their homes.
Yeah, I mean, I think what this tells us right now is, in contrast to the Koberger case, where they weren't giving out very much information at all, but they had information and they were chasing the right lead, they don't have anything to go on right now. And that is why they are relying so heavily on the public. But I think this is a great thing to do right now, and I wish they'd done it sooner, because if we think about the Brown University shooting, the Tepe shootings, cameras and footage from people's homes is what helped break those two cases wide open. So just from that perspective, it would have been really smart from the beginning to start gathering footage from everywhere you possibly could around this house.
Yeah, I am surprised that departments and offices around the country and law enforcement that's the first thing you do. The first thing you do, just send it out to the public. Give us what you got, because we're looking for it, rather than waiting 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 days, knocking on a door, no one's there, we'll come back another day. Just get it out to everyone. Holland, the public, people want to help. I mean, that's their nature. They just want to help.
Vinny, the sleuths are, I would say at this point, they want to do nothing more than attack, attack, attack. This is taking me back to I wrote a note down here, 1932, the Lindbergh case is a very big case where the public was the reasoning and the justification of bringing the perpetrator to justice. This case is so personal. I watch the Today Show every day. I watch Savannah Guthrie every day. So now that she is the character in a story that is something that now is a sub-story, and what we're talking about on court TV at night is insane to me. And it goes back to like the O.J. Simpson situations, right? Where we're all following the car, we're following the what have you. This is so, it's can't just be entertainment at this point. This is investment on, we value people behind what they do for a living. And unfortunately, what they do for a living subjects them to being subjected to crimes like this. So that's where I just kind of I hate to do this because I know that's 6'7", but it does make me like take pause for a little bit and looking at the facts and then looking at, whoa, okay, we have to be very careful. Vinny, you have to be careful. All of us, Claudia, Josh, we have to be careful because you become subjected to moments like this we don't know what the reason is. We don't know what the objective is, but nonetheless, it's happening. And so, yeah, the media, thank God she has the attention on it. She has powerful houses behind her, and it's super personal for all of us when you have a voice and you want to speak out. I just wanted to like drive that point home. And I'm sorry to belabor the point.
No, it makes sense. You know, as we're watching, what makes this one different, right? We're in 2026, and the coverage of this comes from, yes, news organizations are doing a great job there, but you also have all these independent journalists out there and independent YouTubers and live streamers. Jonathan Lee Riches, known as JLR Investigates on X, was at Nancy Guthrie's house today when the pool service workers showed up at her house. Take a look.
JLR Investigates, boots on the ground. Pool cleaners are at Nancy Guthrie's home right now. 2 pool cleaning trucks with ambience pool service and supplies arrived, and they took poles and they went in the back with the Pima County Sheriff deputy. They're out there searching around her pool. What's going on? This is day 13 since this incident and ambient pool service and supplies.
And obviously, every development is being covered here. What the sheriff has said about the pool cleaners is that they were literally there to clean the pool at the request of the Guthrie family. So it wasn't necessarily a search for evidence or anything. It was just a cleaning of the pool. At least that's what they're saying. And today, TMZ received a third email from the person saying they have information about Nancy Guthrie's kidnapper, but now the sender has changed their demands. Here's what Harvey Levin reported this afternoon.
He wants one fraction of a Bitcoin worth $50,000. And for that, he says he will give up the name and location of the kidnapper. He says he will not cash that until the kidnapper is actually arrested, and then he expects the second Bitcoin fraction, another 50,000. So he wants the $100,000 reward, he says, but he wants it in this form.
Okay, it's kind of strange. It may not make sense, but I'm wondering, why hasn't someone paid the $50,000 just in case? Is that a big number here? Is that really a big number in light of everything? Like, Harvey Levin could pay the $50,000.
I'm sorry, Vinny, can I ask you a question? The thing is that everyone, Vinny and Savannah, everyone has said they're willing to pay. So if that's the case, and now we're paying in Bitcoin, what are we at? And I'm asking the question because I don't know the answer. But that doesn't make any sense to me. She has said multiple times on multiple platforms that they are willing to pay. And if that's not something that is happening, I'm not understanding what's happening. Help me out here.
Well, yeah, well, let me tell you, the FBI has a reward for $100,000. This person could call silent witness at any point in time and get the reward money. I think this thing is bogus. There's no indication that this person knows anything. We already have, fraudsters out there. Somebody actually was charged last week from San Diego who called in, Savannah Guthrie, found her name on some cyber website, and now he's being charged here in the District of Arizona. I think that if this person actually knew anything, you could already gotten $100,000. I mean, why do you need a half a Bitcoin? It just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense at all because, yeah, I agree with Josh. Why wouldn't you just go to the legitimate means of getting your reward and doing it kind of the right way? And then you can go out and sell your story after everything goes down to TMZ and Netflix and whoever else and win both ways. So it doesn't make sense to me either. At the same time, I'd probably pay $50,000 just to see what the person has to say.
Well, you don't want to set a precedent either. I mean, if this person's bogus and you pay him $50,000, what happens to the next 20 people who want to make some easy money? So, I mean, you have to have some credibility here before you start shoveling out money. And, I don't have anything against the Guthrie family for not paying the so-called ransom demands before, because there was nothing similar to those ransom demands that you would see in, like what Holland said, with the Frank Sinatra Jr. case, the Guthrie case, the Lindenberg baby case. Those were all formulaic in how those KNR or kidnapping and ransom cases took place. This is much more akin to the JonBenet Ramsey case, where you had a similar note that took the stage. It was like a production, and you know what? We're still arguing to this day about what happened. So I'll give it to the Guthrie family. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. I think that they're doing the best that they can.
All right, folks, we've got a lot more to get to. Think Tank staying with us. When we come back, we're going to talk about these allegations of tension between the sheriff and the FBI. Are they working together or are they not working together? Is there bad blood? Is it a power struggle? We'll talk about that. Plus, coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, we continue our in-depth coverage into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie and take a look at a sketch of the suspect. Will this help law enforcement find the man who abducted Nancy? Tonight, we investigate.
In 2021, Dee Warner vanished without a trace.
Dale Warner. He's accused of murdering his wife, Dee. Rumors of a troubled marriage spread throughout this small community.
She had contemplated divorce several times.
Now, after years of searching for Dee Warner,
her remains are found on the couple's property.
Sealed inside a welded shut storage tank.
We're still going to fight to the end to see that she gets her justice.
The hidden murder of Dee Warner. Live coverage weekday mornings on Court TV.
We too have heard the reports about a ransom letter in the media. As a family, we are doing everything that we can. We are ready to talk. However, we live in a world where voices and images are easily manipulated. We need to know, without a doubt, that she is alive and that you have her. We received your message and we understand.
Whoever is out there holding our mother, we want to hear from you.
And we will pay. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help.
A lot of heartbreak and frustration still at this moment with Nancy Guthrie's family, and they've spoken out through social media several times through the course of everything that's transpiring here. A lot of reporting last night and a lot of talk about the relationship between the Pima County Sheriff and the FBI, that they weren't getting along, they weren't sharing evidence, and that was troubling. Very troubling news for everyone, and everyone was talking about it. Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos is pushing back on those reports that he was withholding evidence from the FBI in the investigation. The rumors of tension between the Sheriff's Department and FBI came after Pima County sent gloves recovered in their searches to a private lab. But Nanos told KVOA that Pima County and the FBI are working together on where to send the evidence for testing.
Actually, the FBI just wanted to send the one or two they found by the crime scene closest to it, mile and a half. They really wanted to send those, and I said, you know, why do that? Let's just send them all to where all the DNA exists, all the profiles and markers exist. Let's just send it there. They agreed. Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay. So that's a big deal, right? Who's testing this stuff? So it's a private lab that's doing it that I guess Pima County always works with versus Quantico and the FBI, which is, you know, across the country, but it's the FBI, right? This also was released by the sheriff. The Pima County Sheriff's Department and the FBI continue to work jointly on this case. Our strong partnership is critical, and we remain fully committed to this collaborative investigation. To ensure consistency and streamlined testing, evidence requiring forensic analysis is being sent to the same out-of-state lab that has been utilized since the beginning of this case. The decision was discussed with and agreed upon by local FBI leadership. Several gloves have been located during the investigation. The closest gloves were found approximately 2 miles from the home. Reports that a glove was found inside the residence or on the property are inaccurate. That's a big deal. All collected evidence has been submitted for laboratory analysis. DNA other than Nancy Guthrie's and those in close contact to her has been collected from the property. Investigators are working to identify who it belongs to. We are not disclosing where that DNA was located. Let's bring back in our think tank, Josh Coleswood, Claudia King, and Holland Reed. Claudia, are you buying it that everyone's getting along very well here?
I'm not buying it at all. And what is frustrating to me is this shouldn't even be an issue because it is taking focus away from where we should be focusing, and that is solving this crime. Now, Pima County, I know they were there from the get-go. That's where this crime occurred. But it seems pretty obvious that they are not properly equipped to handle this type of investigation. And that's nothing against them. It's just they don't have the experience. They don't have the time and effort that they put into cases like this before to know what to do. So there's nothing wrong with letting the FBI take the lead and let the people who handle things like this all the time be in charge and handle this once again. But instead, we're having all this infighting, and it's taking energy and focus away from where it needs to be.
Josh, you worked with the feds, right?
And I've worked with the Pima County Sheriff's Office, yes. You know, when I first heard about this story, I'll have to say that I was certainly on the side of Claudia. You know, I heard about this RICO case that the Pima County Sheriff's Office, including Sheriff Nano, were involved with 10 years ago. And Sheriff Nano's boss was indicted and charged federally, and he didn't like that. And there's this idea that, you know, Sheriff Nano has always had this grudge against the FBI, and that's why there's this friction. But I'll tell you, you know, when you use a lab at the beginning of the case, really the worst thing that you can do is switch labs right in the middle of an investigation. You know, as a prosecutor, former federal prosecutor, I'll tell you, you want all the evidence at the same lab. And that's where they first sent the exemplars from the house, the blood on the crime scene. And I'll tell you, I was actually kind of impressed with the Florida lab. I mean, if you remember, we got the results back in less than 24 hours. And those results usually and can take weeks. So I was impressed by how fast they can get this back. Now, the next thing I want to know is, like, are there any phenotypes that they can withdraw from the blood or any type of DNA at the crime scene? So for those who don't know what phenotypes are, is like, it's a technique where you can kind of tell the physical characteristics of the person whose DNA it comes from. So, for example, you might be able to tell if the guy has freckles, the skin tone, maybe even the proximate height. So we're going to see that. We're going to see the genealogical DNA, like we saw in the Koberger case. So there's still a lot to happen here, and I want to give the sheriff the benefit of the doubt.
Okay, Holland, what does your gut tell you about this relationship? You know, I grew up on the cop shows in the 70s, and the locals were always angry when the feds would come in, and there was just a built-in rivalry kind of thing. Do you think they're able to put that aside and just try to solve the case together?
Listen, I love Claudia, and I love Josh, and I love you, Vinny. And I'm going to say the sleuths are going to be the ones that solve this crime across the board. Oh my gosh, I was taking notes, and honestly, I don't even think I can compartmentalize all the notes in the time frame that I have. But Vinny, you're right. Claudia, you're right. Josh, you're right. But the thing that I'm trying to analyze right now is the community is going to be the biggest factor in the solution to the evidence, the evidentiary support. Josh, you know I love you, but we'll talk about that later. But I don't know what to say. I'm like, I have so many.
All right. Well, I know what to say. We got to get to a break. So hold that thought.
There's too much to unpack.
When we come back.
Well, I love you too, okay?
When we come back, who is that? Juliana Magalhaes, the au pair from the Au Pair Affair murder trial. Remember, she testified, got that sweetheart deal. Today was her sentencing. We'll show you the judge's shocking decision today.
By accepting responsibility in this case and cooperating, we avoided 2 trials. We assured the finality of the decision in this case, and we gave the jury and the Commonwealth and the court confidence that Brendan Banfield would be convicted, as he ultimately was. Justice requires following the agreement because every individual that makes...
Following the recommendation.
Recommendation, yes, Your Honor.
Words matter. Judge Escarati on top of it. Same judge from the Johnny Depp trial, by the way. The defense attorney was saying, subject to the agreement we had. Remember, the au pair got a deal. She was charged with murder, but did not plead guilty to murder, pleaded guilty to involuntary manslaughter. And the recommendation of prosecutors was time served. So the trial's over. She's been in prison or jail for a couple of years. Then she would be released and then likely deported back to Brazil, but free. Time served, right? Judge said, no, that was just a recommendation. So I'm going to show you what happened. First, we'll hear from the au pair, then we'll hear from the judge.
I have caused your pain. They cannot be measured and forever changed so many lives. I pray for forgiveness from the Benson family and from Joseph Ryan's family and from Valerie. I will never forgive myself for the pain caused. I hope that my cooperation in this case somehow begin to help repair the damage caused. There is nothing I could possibly do to make it up to you, to your loss. My time in jail has been a time of reflection for me, to better myself in more ways than I realized I needed. I had to find myself again. That's when I truly found God. When I had lost the desire to live, when I wanted to die, the guilt and feelings that I didn't deserve to live and that I was a monster were overwhelming. In God, I found the forgiveness and mercy, and I am restored. Jail is not a place you can bear to let yourself drown in those feelings. I wanted to disconnect from my pain and the guilt and get into survival mode to stay mentally sane, because inevitably, with the memories come pain. Sorry for Joe's family and Christine's family. Sorry for Valerie, an innocent little girl who has so much love that will grow without her mother and our father. This is a heavy burden to carry, knowing you could have prevented it at all from happening. I understand that I am to blame, and I'm truly sorry for the pain it caused. I hope someday I can be forgiven, as I hope to be able to forgive myself.
In this matter, the court does find that the manslaughter charge was a large benefit of your bargain for testifying, which was a huge bargain in a plea deal. You could have been facing life plus 3 years, and now the maximum I can sentence you to today is 10 years. It's clearly a trade for your cooperation with the Commonwealth and what the Commonwealth offered. And you accepted that along with the Commonwealth's recommendation for time served, which is not an agreement, and as you know, not binding on the court, as we discussed at length at your plea. The reduction of the charge is a mitigation. I have watched your interviews and I watched you testify, and I just cannot find any further mitigation factors for your case. You may not have come up with a plan, agreed, and an older man may have groomed you to a point, but I want to list for the record the facts that I cannot equate with accepting a time-served recommendation. These are aggravating factors either not fully captured or not reflected in the sentencing guidelines. Number one, until today, you have shown no empathy for the victim in this case. Number two, you were more involved with the plan than you testified to. First off, there were numerous postings on social media platforms and text platforms looking for a target, texting and speaking directly with Joseph Ryan, encouraging him to bring the knife, and ultimately through the phone conversation, getting his consent, knowing all along you were bringing him to his death. Lying to Christine and setting up the plan for the zoo, using her devices and hiding her phone, using a child as a pawn in your plan, waiting outside for Joseph to show up, calling Mr. Banfield to bring him to the scene, and at any point for at least the month prior or that day, you could have stopped this. The plan did not work without your full involvement. Number three, having the loaded firearm in your pocket. Number four, bringing a child into the basement knowing two people were about to be murdered, to include the child's mother. Number five, hearing Christine ask you to call 911, which you did and then immediately hung up. Number 6, seeing Joseph Ryan, who was shot in the head at that time, still moving and walking up to him as he lay moaning on the floor and shooting him point blank in the heart. Number 7, watching as Mr. Banfield stabbed Christine over and over again. Number 8, waiting 15 minutes before recalling 911. Number 9, telling a fabricated story for over a year and a half, a story that depicted Joseph Ryan wrongly as a rapist and a murderer, an innocent man. And number 10, telling the child it was okay to call you mommy hours after the murder. Your actions were deliberate, self-serving, and demonstrated a profound disregard for human life. So let's get it straight. You do not deserve anything other than incarceration and a life of reflection on what you have done to the victim and this family. May it weigh heavily on your soul. So today I'm sentencing you on a manslaughter charge because that's what's before me. And the facts of this case demonstrate an intentional and calculated level of violence that is the most serious manslaughter scenario that this court has ever seen. Therefore, I do sentence you to 10 years in the penitentiary as required by Virginia Code 19.2-295.2. After you've completed your 10-year sentence, I will order an additional 2 years suspended and you will be placed on probation pursuant to Virginia Code 19.2303.
All right, Josh Colesrud, Claudia King, Holland Reed with us. Holland, why don't you go first? Was justice served?
It was. It was served. It was served well. I get emotional over cases like this. I was shaking my head the entire time. I'm taking notes the entire time. I feel like, it was calculated, and unfortunately, there's nothing she could have said to defend herself. And I do believe that justice was served. And I said it from day one. And I'm glad that, the jury and the judge did its due diligence in this case. I'm a layman here. So, yeah.
Well, that's who sits in the jury box. Every day in thousands of courtrooms across America. Josh, was justice served here?
I loved this sentence, Vinny. I was worried that the judge was going to go light on her because of her cooperation. This was a pre-planned, pre-coordinated, brutal, double homicide. I mean, if this happened in Arizona, both of those people would be facing the death penalty. She's lucky that she is getting out of here with only 8 years. So I like it. It's justice for the family. Best case scenario, given the circumstances.
Yeah, I totally agree 100%. And obviously, we had 2 great judges deliver 2 great sentences this week with this case and then with Austin Thompson in North Carolina. I am so glad that this judge didn't go with that recommendation and looked at all the facts of the case and spelled out the facts of the case for the record to indicate why she was going to give this maximum sentence, because it is 100% deserved. Justice was definitely done in the best way it could have been, considering her plea bargain.
So let's take a step back from just the parameters of the deal that was given to her. Take into account what she actually did. Is 10 years appropriate for what she did? And what she did is took part in the murders, but also testified against Brendan Banfield. How about that, Holland?
You already saw me. Listen, so the co-conspirator aspect of all of this is the biggest, how do we get her on that? I am a layman, and in this, and you guys educate me every single day. But the thing that bothers me more than anything is I feel like maybe she should have gotten more, because she was equal parts of all of the intent. Everything that happened on her behalf and happened with her volition. Everything she wanted to see come to fruition happened. And so I don't understand that from a person who is a true crime fanatic that looks on the outside looking in, that can say, how is she so not innocent, but how does she get away with a little bit less than he's
But you
gonna
can
get away
actually
with?
say, because it's manslaughter, that she got away with murder here.
You know what? Help me out, please.
Go ahead, Josh.
Inform me. Please, go, Josh. Go.
You know, I wish that the prosecution could have made this case without her. You know, she admitted to pulling the trigger and murdering somebody. Not only that, but she helped plan the murder. I mean, this wasn't a heat of passion circumstance. This was a situation where she wanted to take over the life of the wife and then become the mother of a child that's not hers, and did so in a bloody, brutal way with their child in the house. You know, she deserves a life sentence. And again, you know, if the prosecution could have made this case without her, she would be facing a life sentence. No doubt about it.
All right, we have about 20 seconds. Go ahead, Claudia. Wrap it up.
You know, I think they had a shot to maybe make it without her, and I wish, like Josh said, they could have done that because she deserves a life sentence. Yes, she was groomed by Brendan, but she did the dirty work. She was right there beside him. She deserves to be in jail right where he is.
All right. Thanks so much to Josh Colesrud, Claudia King, Holland Reed. Great to see you. When we come back, folks, I will reveal something else you need to know tonight, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, as the search for Nancy Guthrie and her abductors continues, we take a look at the evidence. Is there enough right now to solve this case? Tonight, we investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates, tonight, 9/8 Central, only on Court TV.
A deadly school shooting.
I just started hearing gunshots.
Now, the father of the alleged shooter
is on trial.
Mr. Gray knowingly allowing his son to possess a weapon.
The Gave My Son a Gun murder trial, weekday morning on Court TV.
Welcome back. Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's take a look at the big board. Yeah, it's verdict. You may have known I was wearing a red tie, right? This is Paul Canero, accused of murdering his brother, his brother's wife, his brother's daughter, and his brother's son in cold blood, then setting the mansion on fire, then setting his own house on fire as a diversionary ruse to make it look like his family was under attack. Let's take you inside the courtroom to hear 4 of the 16 counts.
How do you find as to count 1 of the indictment charging the defendant, Paul Canero, with the murder of Keith Canero?
Guilty.
Count 2. How do you find as to count 2 of the indictment charging the defendant, Paul Canero, with the murder of Jennifer Canero?
Guilty.
3. How do you find as to count 3 of the indictment charging the defendant, Paul Canero, with the murder of Jesse Canero?
Guilty.
Count 4. How do you find as to count 4 of the indictment charging the defendant, Paul Canero, with the murder of Sophia Canero?
Guilty.
No reaction, right? Because he knows. Like, he knows what happened. He wouldn't be surprised by people saying guilty. He's the one who did it. The evidence was overwhelming. Obviously, he'll never be free again. Okay, take a look at your screens. We have a missing child who needs your help tonight. This is Clayton Clark, just 15 years old. Clayton is missing from Gastonia, North Carolina since the 4th of February. Take a look. If you see Clayton, pick up the phone, make a call, make a difference. 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Gastonia Police Department. That phone number's on your screen right now. Let's see if we can get Clayton to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We have another hour of live true crime. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.